statistic from the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence states, among victims of domestic violence, alcohol played a role in 55% of the cases, while drugs played a role in only 9% for spousal violence. Alcohol was a factor in 65% of the cases, versus only 5% for drugs. Good evening, class. My name is Kinsey Olmstead, and today I'm going to inform you about the main causes of several types of abuse. With a show of hands, how many of you have been abused in some type of way? Based on my past experience, I've been affected by emotional abuse. I will present information regarding 3 types of abuse, which are physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. Initially, when the topic of domestic violence is brought up, people think of the most common type, which is physical abuse. In most cases, drugs and alcohol play a key role as to why the abuse occurred. Gender inequality is also a cause for physical abuse and domestic violence. This is the belief that one's gender is superior to the other. Gender inequality can lead one to think it is okay to physically abuse someone of the opposite gender. Physical violence can then lead to another type of violence which can be used simultaneously. The next type of violence is emotional abuse. Domestic violence used emotionally is a topic that really hits home with me given the fact that I grew up with an abusive father. I met him at the age of 7 for the first time when I was forced to move in with him, my brother, and my stepmom into a toxic environment. There was violence occurring daily. This quickly took a toll on me when I could see how everyone else had already been so badly affected by it. According to Stephen Stonzi with a PhD, everyone in a walking on eggshells family loses some degree of dignity and anatomy. We know that no less than half the members of such families, including children, will suffer from clinical anxiety and/or depression. I did not realize how much of a serious impact growing up in this situation had on me until I grew older and started to see how much anxiety I have now from it, along with the occasional depressing days. My father has always been very degrading towards women, which was very hard for me being young and trying to grow into womanhood. He was always saying things to put women down or to make himself feel more superior to women. I recall one time in particular, him making jokes with some of his friends that were objectifying to women. This type of behavior is what can lead to what is referred to as rape culture. This is when rape is viewed as normal, which in turn makes it excused in the media public. Luckily, there are ways of preventing rape culture, according to Marshall University. To list a few simple guidelines, Wood would start with not using language that is going to degrade women in any way. If someone claims to have been raped, listen to them, as it is not easy to come out with something as serious as that. Lastly, your voice is what makes the biggest difference. If no one ever steps up and speaks out about it, nothing will ever change. There is another type of abuse that can be used simultaneously as well, just like physical abuse. The last major type of domestic violence is sexual abuse. Mental problems, physical abuse as a child, and religion are what leads people to commit sexual abuse. Physical abuse as a child is the main reasoning. Once the child that suffered from the abuse has grown into an adult, they are sometimes angry with the world and the fact that they had to experience that. This is what makes a sexual abuser commit the crime. They feel the need to also overpower a victim as they were overpowered during their abuse. Although sexual abuse is a major subject, there are many ways to get help in this type of scenario, as well as for both physical and emotional abuse and the other types of abuses that are around. Fortunately, there are places and people who are available to reach out for helping getting out of the agonizing situation. Hotlines are probably one of the quickest and easiest solutions to get help regarding the situation. Sadly, more often than not, victims choose not to speak out and try to get help, which can lead to the victim feeling like it is either their fault or it is normal and they deserve to be treated that way. The Family and Youth Services Bureau is a great resource as it has hotline information as well as programs for the victims to receive the guidance they need for any types of violence, which may include physical, emotional, or sexual abuse.